In traditional Christianity, Christ is regarded as the Son of God, or universal reason, or logos, and we resolve conflict through dialogue. The root of the word dialogue is logos. A feature of Islam that is not present in Christianity is the concept of fatwa, religious and moral guidance issued by a recognized authority. The significance of the fatwa is that it is issued by a religious cleric but executed by others. The fatwa gives those people a justification for the perpetration of acts that undermine the host society. These people have been radicalized. They have become fifth columnists, living in a host society but committed to acts that undermine that society. Fatawa on Palestine have been issued by the late prominent Muslim scholar Yusuf al-Qaradawi. Hamas, as the Palestinian arm of the Muslim Brotherhood, has for many years looked to Qaradawi as a religious authority and relied upon his rulings. Abdul-Azim Ahmed, Secretary General of the Muslim Council of Wales, appears to be a great supporter of the Muslim Brotherhood.
Has anyone written on the coffee shop as a place of civil society organizing? I'm thinking of the Muslim Brotherhood and its early history in Egypt specifically. This covers some of it, referencing Arab Spring.
And upon the death of Yusuf al-Qaradawi, the Muslim Council of Wales issued a fawning eulogy.
Our statement on the sad passing of Yusuf al-Qaradawi. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi rajiun. To him we belong, and to him we shall return.
Al-Qaradawi stresses that Palestine is a Muslim land, not a Palestinian land. He writes,
I have always stressed that Palestine is a Muslim land belonging to all generations of the Muslim nation. Therefore, if any of these generations fail to defend and protect this land, it is for the following generations to stand up for this task. If Palestinians neglect their duty of defending this land, the whole Muslim nation is required to take this responsibility and defend the land either by force or word.
In an article by Mark Gardner and Dave Rich, the authors explain, Qaradawi underlines the need for Muslims all over the world to involve themselves in the Israel-Palestine conflict. It is not for the Palestinians to determine. He goes on to discuss the question of Jerusalem.
The Palestinians do not have the competence to decide on the fate of Jerusalem without resorting to the Muslims all over the world. This consequently makes it obligatory upon every Muslim wherever he is to defend Jerusalem and Al-Aqsa Mosque. This is an obligation upon all Muslims to participate in defending Jerusalem with their souls, money, and all that they possess. Otherwise, a punishment from Allah shall descend on the whole nation.
The influence of Qaradawi's fatwa can be seen in the teachings to young Muslims given in Welsh universities.
Of course, it's the heart of the Ummah. None of our countries, perhaps, or the majority of our countries are mentioned in the Quran. But Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala mentions Palestine, mentions Al-Aqsa, Al-Quds, Subhana alladhi asra bi'abdihi layla min al-Masjid al-Haram ila al-Masjid al-Aqsa. So this is a matter of our creed, our Quran, our deen is attached to it. Therefore, every Muslim should be concerned about this matter. It's not only when something happens like this that we only make dua. Yes, we make a lot of dua and we continue to make dua and we ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to grant them relief and to grant them victory and to deal with those who are pressing them. But it should be at all times, because this is not new. This has been happening for decades. The Prophet ﷺ said, whoever is not concerned about the affairs of the Muslims is not one of them.
The influence of Qaradawi's fatwa can be seen in the teachings given to young Muslims at Welsh events. The influence of Qaradawi's fatwa can be seen in the teachings given to young Muslims in Welsh mosques.
And look at how the enemy themselves, they have not given up. They haven't given up hope, though they have every right to do so, because they see a Zionist superstructure that is, according to their own historians, collapsing. They are telling us of an international rules-based order that is now completely discredited globally, and the world is looking for an alternative. You are seeing the so-called advanced countries of the world in an absolute political and moral and spiritual freefall. We are seeing how all of the isms of the world that were exported to our parts of the world and forced down our throats for so many years, we've come to realize that all of these isms and these man-made ideologies were turned out to be impotent and toothless and unable to administer the basic needs during a genocide, like providing food and baby formula to children. All of them combined were unable to say that or do that. Therefore, despite all of these factors combined, all of these systemic failures, all of these unravelings, they haven't given up, despite having every reason to do so. And then we have yourselves, ourselves, who are connected to the ultimate source of power, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who said, Inna Allah yudafi'u 'anil ladhina amanu. Allah defends the believers. You stand with Him subhanahu wa ta'ala, therefore you have absolutely no right to despair. Though the future seems to be a grim one, we know the outcome will be a guided one.
The influence of Qaradawi's Fatawa can be seen in the actions of social media influencer Nizar Dahan from Swansea, who in April 2025 gave publicity to the efforts of Riverway Law to deproscribe Hamas as a terrorist organisation. Nitso called for viewers to give a little to the Palestinian cause, naming money and freedom as two things that could be sacrificed. The influencer told his 19,000 followers, those who are standing their ground are going to be rewarded according to that level of courage. Qaradawi compares this call for action with what he sees as the collective Jewish participation in the oppression of the Palestinians.
The conquerors of Palestine are those with the greatest enmity toward the believers, and they are supported by the strongest state on earth, the USA, and by the world Jewish community. If every Jew in the world thinks himself a soldier and supports Israel as much as he can, surely every Muslim should be a soldier using his very soul and wealth to liberate Al-Aqsa. The least the Muslim can do is to boycott the enemy's goods.
Supporters of the Muslim Brotherhood are fifth columnists, living in Western society but secretly doing all they can to undermine the values of Western society. Their God is not associated with unity and peace. Their God is power. That is what they value. Tareq Al-Suwaidan from the Muslim Brotherhood in Kuwait is very optimistic about their influence. As he states in a video posted on the Cardiff Muslims Facebook page.
One of the major things that gives me hope is that now we are dealing with a new generation of young men and women. Sadadalia, to analyze correctly any people, any nation, we should always remember that we can divide them roughly into three groups. Those who are let's say to the right, those who are to the left, and in the middle. Those who are to the left are the deviated one, the corrupt one, and these are one of the major troubles that we have in the Ummah. In the middle, we have people who have a mixture of good things and bad things. They do some good things for Gaza, sometimes they forget. They do the boycott, and most of the time they don't, and so on. Frankly, all of these I don't care about. Only those to the right. If they have sincerity, good relation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and if they are trained well, then we will prevail. Only 2% of any nation will lead the others. So my focus are on this. Now, you know, Sister Daya, that I worked in Dawah for now 55 years. Wallahi, alladhi la ilaha illahu. The generation that we have today are the best that we had in 55 years. So some people see the negative, but I see the positive. Now, we have not reached 2%. When we reach 2%, we will prevail.
What are we at this stage?
My estimation is about between 1 and 1.5. So, but we're growing. And you deal with the young men and women, mainly, mashallah, the young girls that in the West. And let me say something, since we're talking mostly to people in the West. Also, among all the young men and women, and I've trained 100,000 from all over the world. The best among them are those in the West.
This mindset is anti-Christian. The Gospel of Mark tells of the healing of someone who separated themselves from others. In Judaic tradition, a menstruating woman was regarded as unclean and was obliged to separate herself from others. In the Gospel is the story of the woman with the hemorrhage.
And there was a woman who had had a flow of blood for 12 years, and who had suffered much under many physicians, and had spent all that she had, and was no better, but rather grew worse. She had heard the reports about Jesus, and came up behind him in the crowd and touched his garment. For she said, "If I touch even his garments, I shall be made well." And immediately the hemorrhage ceased, and she felt in her body that she was healed of her disease. And Jesus, perceiving in himself that power had gone forth from him, immediately turned about in the crowd, and said, "Who touched my garments?" And his disciples said to him, "You see the crowd pressing around you, and yet you say, 'Who touched me?'" And he looked around to see who had done it. But the woman, knowing what had been done to her, came in fear and trembling and fell down before him, and told him the whole truth. And he said to her, "Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace and be healed of your disease."
Separating ourselves from others leads to violent conflict. Al-Qaradawi writes,
The last day will not come unless you fight Jews. A Jew will hide himself behind stones and trees, and stones and trees will say, "O servant of Allah, O Muslim, there is a Jew behind me, come and kill him." We believe that the battle between us and the Jews is coming. Such a battle is not driven by nationalistic causes or patriotic belonging. It is rather driven by religious incentives. This battle is not going to happen between Arabs and Zionists, or between Jews and Palestinians, or between Jews or anybody else. It is between Muslims and Jews, as is clearly stated in the Hadith. This battle will occur between the collective body of Muslims and the collective body of Jews, that is, all Muslims and all Jews.
And he came and found them sleeping, and he said to Peter, "Simon, are you asleep? Could you not watch 1 hour? Watch and pray that you may not enter into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak." And again he went away and prayed, saying the same words. And again he came and found them sleeping, for their eyes were very heavy, and they did not know what to answer him. And he came the third time and said to them, "Are you still sleeping and taking your rest? It is enough. The hour has come. The Son of Man is betrayed into the hands of sinners. Rise, let us be going. See, my betrayer is at hand." And immediately, while he was still speaking, Judas came, one of the 12, and with him a crowd with swords and clubs, from the chief priests and the scribes and the elders. Now the betrayer had given them a sign, saying, "The one I will kiss is the man. Seize him and lead him away under guard." And when he came, he went up to him at once and said, "Rabbi," and he kissed him. And they laid hands on him and seized him.
كتب عليكم القتال وهو كره لكم. I call this type of al-qital, right? Religious warfare. That's how I like to word it. And I'm not going to be apologetic about it anyway. Jihad is part of my religion. But there's rules and regulations. Right? You've got Mr. Netanyahu every now and again who quotes the Bible, talks about Amalek and whatever have you, and Abu Taymiyyah is going to be apologetic about the deen? La. Allah here says, when talking about that which He has legislated, كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الْقِتَالُ وَهُوَ كُرْهٌ لَكُمْ. That which has been prescribed upon you is religious warfare, even though you dislike it. Again, is this a contradiction? No. What this is talking about is the hardship that comes with it, the burden, right? Of course, this is disliked to someone, right? It's difficult on the nafs. I don't hate the concept of religious warfare despite Allah sending it. No. It says, the difficulty that comes with it. And can you see the difference?
And Allah had certainly fulfilled His promise to you when you were killing the enemy by His permission, until the time when you lost courage and fell to disputing about the order given by the Prophet and disobeyed after he had shown you that which you love.